Hoi guys, Neoslayer here. So, recently, Jake has announced that world locks are going to be untradeable. We should not be fighting over whether or not they should add it, or all the problems it will have. We don't know what they did yet, and we don't know how they are going to implement it. You can't just jump to conclusions and say linear, simple-brained things like, trash update, or, it will ruin the economy, without mentioning how, or why. What players are supposed to do when giving criticism is to go over the issue, what they should prioritize, and how they can fix the issues that will come. The biggest problem is not the economy. Most of the problems stem from the actions of the developers. The developers are not good at communication, and there are many examples of this, like the times they made permanent items limited without a warning, like the Shogun set, Blue Teddy set, or Bunnytail, the time they shut down the old forums for months, without backing them up, or giving a warning. All of our childhood gone, shut down for months, only to show us a new forum with the data all wiped, something that takes a few days of throwing plugins around to create. Take a look at Jake's first announcement, in the end of his video devlog.
The next update. We are going to make the world locks untradeable. It's happening in 3 weeks.
The issue with this is he essentially threw the entire community into a panic. He didn't address any of the issues this controversial change might have, and before this, they randomly threw out an Instagram post asking for our thoughts on them being untradeable. The post was filled with hundreds of comments of backlash and negative reception. Despite this, they still decided to make this change a few weeks later. Just like pay-to-play worlds, that had a large majority of people voting no, even though it's essentially gambling with extra steps. He made a video covering up most of the issues, but that was some time after. They had 3 weeks to add features to fix the issues, but instead, Jake passed them off by saying they will do this later if it becomes an issue. That is a red flag in my opinion. Next time, I hope they learn from this mistake by addressing issues to the players before they make changes. Many of their reasons for making world locks untradeable are quite valid, as explained in his newest video. For example, new players would also be confused to why there's multiple currencies in the game, seeing how the world locks don't have any use other than locking worlds. It will guide them toward an official currency that will be used for more features as the game progresses forward. No more ratios to deal with. World locks also have no way to deal with inflation. But that makes me wonder, why did they add lock tokens for trading? Why did they make world locks as prizes in many VIP spins, as well as from giveaways in his streams? They say they have been thinking about this change since launch, but all the evidence point towards that not being the case. The update is here now, but in the time of editing this video, it hasn't. The update is coming very soon, so we can, at least find some ways, to make this change the best it can be. 1. Keep the change at 250 per world lock from the vendor NPC. In the video he mentioned him changing the price to 250, but then reverting it back. I think it should stay, in my opinion. I will explain why below. 2. Make a way to keep track of current trades to prevent price manipulation. With the addition of all the new players, there will be more players who will attempt to change the average prices. They could perhaps implement some sort of feature that can detect alternate accounts, or time frames, or simply extend the amount of recent purchases. 3. All locks in chests, donation boxes, display cases, gift boxes, and dropped-in worlds will eventually return to the inventory of the owner of the world, and can also be converted to bytes by talking to the NPC. This will prevent the onslaught of players trying to sell their so-called glitch worlds to rip others off. 4. More ways to use bytes. As Jake explained in the video, we have things like secret base and other things that act as a money sink for bytecoins. World locks do not have a way to reduce inflation. So, I suggest them to calculate the amount of bytes in game, and add special limited items accordingly, similar to the elite water guns that were added. Perhaps, something like angel wings. But this time, add more of them, and at a cheaper price, so more players can get it. The idea isn't for profit, but simply a money drain. Also, if they want to add more uses for bytes, add more uses for the current secret base items. The furniture and clothings are basically useless, not counting the legendaries. That is basically the only reason people use it. I suggest a way to combine the less common items to make other unique items, so people will look forward to any item they get. This should apply to all content, so everything doesn't feel like a glorified booster. With these additions, we can adjust tax. Almost nobody in Pixel Worlds likes the PWE tax. It takes away 10% of your purchases. Even if PWE is a luxury, it is a disadvantage for those buying or selling the more expensive items. With all the players moving to PWE after this update, all those purchases will increase even more, far surpassing those who grind the recycling events that happen around once a month. This is why they avoid PWE. You lose too much from selling anything that isn't garbage. Many of those who don't aren't even aware of the tax. If I were to sell my Dark Pixie wings for the current price, I would lose over 40 platinum locks worth of bytes just from one purchase, when I could advertise it through GMs or social media. Higher prices of items should scale as the item price goes up, or have a cap. The argument, just don't use PWE, is counterintuitive in a game that shouldn't revolve around trading. Perhaps, a new vendor who sells unique items that have a rotation every month. Maybe someone quite familiar looking, but totally not anyone you've ever seen who once again needs bytes for something lore related that we don't understand yet. 4. Megabyte coin. Another one of the concepts I have drawn that Jake acknowledged. However, I'm quite disappointed how the entire point of it went over his head here in this video.
Suggestions about megabytes or whatever, but so far there is no real reason to do this. If at some point it is a problem and that you have millions of bytecoins and we need a bigger bytecoin in some way, we're gonna look into it. We're gonna do something about it. But currently the maximum amount is a little bit over 2 billion bytecoins that you can have.
Just like most things go over Jake's head when he has already made his decisions. The point of bytecoins is not to store more bytes. Bytecoins are the copper of the game, and world locks are the gold. It makes sense as well. It doesn't only exist as a currency because of Growtopia, this game's inspiration, which also has world locks. World locks are a symbol of cold hard cash, metallic shiny gold. World locks are a symbol of power. They lock your world in a game that literally has worlds in the name. Megabytes and possibly terabytes would be a reference to what world locks used to be. They also make it easier for many players to make quicker, faster decisions with their bytes. Instead of losing more players, you could satisfy more of them by adding a quality of life feature that would not harm. This item could be in a special piggy bank, or perhaps even next to your other bytecoins, and can be converted with a click, just as easy on one screen. This is why we should add something like megabytes, not only to have something used to refer to the old currency. These are more of placeholders, to make up for their weeks of silence. If you have any ideas, make sure to leave them in the comments below. See ya, and keep on hating.